We pray for Ukraine, O you reign.
With profound humble gratitude and love to all venerated enlightened masters, we bow to the Almighty in soulful gratefulness for gifting us with their holy blessed presence. May all beings be awakened by their divine grace.
Part 4 of 4.
Etc.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Chương trình của chúng tôi cung ứng nhiều ngôn ngữ. Xin xem suprememastertv.com/schedule.
The true man is the other, going pure of the body, natively endowed with the virtues which belong to the intellectual activity, virtues whose seat is the separate soul, the soul which even in its dwelling here may be kept apart. Please continue watching to hear readings of the wisdom of the philosopher Plotinus, vegetarian.
Vegan! Congratulations!
Yaso is hello in Greek Cypriot, one of the languages spoken in Cyprus. Hope-filled viewers, I'm Andreas. The amiable Cypriots pray for world vegan, world peace, which will bring harmony and sustainability back to Mother Earth.
There are 211 countries and regions which have animal people protection laws. Saint Helena is one of them. Saint Helena, Protection of Animals Ordinance, 1969. It is an offense for a person to cruelly beat, ill-treat, torture, or terrify an animal person, or to abandon an animal individual in one's care. The penalty is a fine of 200 British pounds, or 240 euros, and/or imprisonment for 6 months. Obey the law of your country. No more animal people slaughterhouses. No more hurting, no more murdering them to eat, to lab test, or for any reason at all. Be vegan, make peace, so be it.
Welcome to excerpts from the Six Enneads by Plotinus, Vegetarian, The Soul and Virtue, Part 1 of 2 on Words of Wisdom. Plotinus, Vegetarian, was one of the most influential philosophers in antiquity after Plato, vegetarian, and Aristotle, vegetarian. In his philosophy, there are 3 principles: the one, the intellect, and the soul. Historians of the 19th century invented the term Neoplatonism and applied it to Plotinus's philosophy. His metaphysical writings have inspired centuries of Islamic, Jewish, Christian, and Gnostic metaphysicians. The issue of happiness is one of Plotinus's greatest imprints on Western thought, as he was one of the first to introduce the idea that happiness is attainable only within consciousness. From all accounts, his personal and social life exhibited the highest moral and spiritual standards. He disliked talking about his own life, disapproved of animal people meat, and refused medications containing animal people substances. Plotinus's final words were, "Try to raise the divine in yourselves to the divine in the all." Long before his physical departure from this world, the philosopher entrusted 2 of his closest disciples, Porphyry, vegetarian, and Emilius, with the extensive task of collecting, revising, and compiling his writings. Thus, The Six Enneads was published to share Plotinus' precious insights with countless generations. It consists of 54 treatises varied in length, arranged in 6 sets of 9 Enneads in 3 volumes. The Enneads are sorted by levels of sophistication, starting with the first Ennead, which emphasizes ethical topics. Today, we are pleased to present excerpts from the 6th tractate of the first Ennead regarding the various facets that make up the soul.
Wonder Kids? Yeah, you are vegan.
The first Ennead, 6th tractate, Beauty, Section 10. It will be objected that if the soul constitutes the we or the personality, and we are subjected to these states, then the soul must be subjected to them, and similarly, that what we do must be done by the soul. But it has been observed that the couplement too, especially before our emancipation, is a member of this total we, and in fact, what the body experiences, we say we experience. This then covers 2 distinct notions. Sometimes it includes the animalistic part, sometimes it transcends the animalistic. The body is animalistic touched to life, the true man is the other, going pure of the body, natively endowed with the virtues which belong to the intellectual activity, virtues whose seat is the separate soul, the soul which even in its dwelling here may be kept apart. This soul constitutes the human being, for when it has wholly withdrawn, that other soul which is a radiation or emanation from it withdraws also, drawn after it. Those virtues, on the other hand, which spring not from contemplative wisdom, but from custom or practical discipline, belong to the couplement. To the couplement, too, belong the vices. They are its repugnances, desires, sympathies. And friendship, this emotion belongs sometimes to the lower part, sometimes to the interior man. Section 11. In childhood, the main activity is in the couplement, and there is but little irradiation from the higher principles of our being. But when these higher principles act but feebly or rarely upon us, their action is directed towards the Supreme. They work upon us only when they stand at the midpoint. But does not the we include that phase of our being which stands above the midpoint? It does, but on condition that we lay hold of it. Our entire nature is not ours at all times, but only as we direct the midpoint upwards or downwards, or lead some particular phase of our nature from potentiality or native character into act.
Smart entrepreneur? No wonder you are vegan.
Section 12. But if soul is sinless, How come the expiations? Here surely is a contradiction. On the one side, the soul is above all guilt. On the other, we hear of its sin, its purification, its expiation. It is doomed to the lower world. It passes from body to body. We may take either view at will. They are easily reconciled. When we tell of the sinless soul, we make soul and essential soul one and the same. It is the simple, unbroken unity. By the soul subject to sin, we indicate a groupment. We include that other, the face of the soul which knows all the states and passions. The soul in this sense is compounded or inclusive. It falls under the conditions of the entire living experience. This compound, it is that sins. It is this and not the other that pays penalty. It is in this sense that we read of the soul. We saw it as those others saw the sea god Glaucus. And reading on, if we mean to discern the nature of the soul, we must strip it free of all that has gathered about it, must see into the philosophy of it, examine with what existences it has touched, and by kinship to what existences it is what it is. Thus, the life is one thing, the act is another, and the expiator yet another. The retreat and sundering then must be not from this body only, but from every alien accruement. Such accruement takes place at birth, or rather birth is the coming into being of that other, or lower phase of the soul. For the meaning of birth has been indicated elsewhere. It is brought about by a descent of the soul, something being given off by the soul, other than that actually coming down in the declension. Then the soul has let this image fall, and this declension is it not certainly sin? If the declension is no more than the illuminating of an object beneath, it constitutes no sin. The shadow is to be attributed not to the luminary, but to the object illuminated. If the object were not there, the light could cause no shadow. And the soul is said to go down, to decline, only in that the object it illuminates lives by its life, and it lets the image fall only if there be nothing near to take it up, and it lets it fall, not as a thing cut off, but as a thing that ceases to be. The image has no further being when the whole soul is looking toward the Supreme. The poet, too, in the story of Hercules, seems to give this image separate existence. He puts the shade of Hercules in the lower world and Hercules himself among the gods. Treating the hero as existing in the two realms at once, he gives us a twofold Hercules. It is not difficult to explain this distinction. Hercules was a hero of practical virtue. By his noble serviceableness, he was worthy to be a god. On the other hand, his merit was action, and not the contemplation which would place him unreservedly in the higher realm. Therefore, while he has place above, something of him remains below. For more information, please visit Internet Sacred Text Archive, sacred-texts.com.
Somos la voz de los animales, somos la voz de los que no tienen voz, somos la voz de los animales.
There are 211 countries and regions which have animal people protection laws. Obey the law of your country. No more animal people slaughterhouses, no more hurting, no more murdering them to eat, to lab test, or for any reason at all. Be vegan. Make peace. So be it.
I find that most patients pick the intelligent choice when given the option between a plant-based diet versus pharmaceuticals. They pick the plant-based diet because they realize making lifestyle modifications will help them achieve a certain level of health that is unattainable with pharmaceuticals. Dr. Angie Sadeji, MD, vegan.
spiritual viewers, thank you for your presence today for Words of Wisdom. Please join us again tomorrow for excerpts from the Six Enneads by Plotinus, Vegetarian, The Soul and Virtue, Part 2 of 2. Coming up next is Tuvalu, a little-known gem of the Pacific, right after noteworthy news. May humans act benevolently and virtuously to create paradise on earth.
Russia, leave Ukraine or you reign now. Peace be with you too.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds. Hell not reach.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.